I've got loads of questions for you, Neil, because I'm dying to find out about how you've been so successful and in just less than four, I think it's less than 4 years, if my math is right, in less than 4 years as a sole practitioner starting from scratch with no clients, you've grown to cumulative revenue of 1.2 million. So I'm guessing that, and that's pounds. So that's in US dollar terms and Canadian dollars, that's a much, much bigger number still. And if you're in South Africa, that's a much bigger number. I don't know what it is in rand. it's lots of noughts on the end, I guess. Anyway, I bet people are dying to find out how you've done that and learn from you and what you've done. But let's start, Neil, with for those people who are new, who've never met you before, no idea who you are. Do you want to just talk a little bit about you, your firm, whereabouts in the world you are based?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the intro. So, I am based not far from Abbey, actually, in Bristol, so about half an hour southwest of Bristol in the UK. And my background has been sort of predominantly within kind of commercial finance and business partnering. So, for I guess 10 of my 13 years in industry, I've worked for big corporates and nationally known companies, and kind of progressively got senior within those businesses, led small teams, like I said, within sort of commercial finance business partnering. So kind of communicating numbers to people is kind of what I've had my background in. And never worked in an accountancy practice before setting up my business. And you're right, it will be 4 years in January 2024. So started in January 2020, and started the business through after losing my job, which was the third time that I'd lost my job in those 13 years. So kind of at that point, I had the bug to kind of do something on my own, and here we are now.
Yeah, and also you had some challenges in the early days. Not only was it an unexpected redundancy, so you were kind of thrown into the life of trying to figure out how to be a sole practitioner, but you only just got started in January, and then 2 months later, the whole world went into lockdown. Describe, Neil, some of the early challenges that you had when starting out an accounting firm in 2020.
So I kind of started to plant the seeds around, I guess, sort of September, October 2019. So I followed you, Mark, since probably the summer of 2019. And kind of it was always my intention and plan to have my own business at some point in the future. Um, and so I picked up a couple of freelance clients, kind of evening and weekend work, just doing some basic tax work or some basic systems work, and just kind of picked those up from Facebook really, and just kind of hiding in sort of networking groups and small business groups locally. So I'd kind of I'd sort of done a little bit of work up till Christmas 2019, and then kind of losing my job on the 14th of January 2020, and effectively deciding the next day to try and make a full-time concern of this business, with three clients at the time. I hadn't really had any kind of interaction with what it was like to kind of have an accountancy business. Didn't really know how to kind of interact with clients so much, or HMRC here in the UK. Kind of I knew that I was qualified, and I knew I had a practice certificate, I had insurance cover, so I had kind of the basics to get going, but it was very much kind of a trial by fire for the first couple of months. And we got to a situation where I kind of built a social media profile. I started to do video. I had a Facebook group, and I said to my wife, we effectively had 2 months to make it work from a cash position. Otherwise, I would have had to have gone and found another job. And we kind of went through the gamut of crying on the bedroom floor because I couldn't do this tax return because it was too difficult. And then obviously COVID happened, and then I was absolutely frightened that everything that I built up in the last couple of months was going to go away, and was going to absolutely disappear. And at that point, no one was recruiting. So if I had to have found another job, it was, well, it wouldn't have been thinking about with two young kids to kind of look after as well. So definitely the first 2 or 3 months were incredibly difficult mentally, financially. But as I can explain in more detail, like COVID was a bit of a perfect storm for me, because a lot of accountants were shutting up shop, they were furloughing staff, they weren't answering phones and emails, and and here was me on Facebook, kind of doing all this silly video content and telling people that I could help them. So it actually worked out quite well in the end.
Yeah, and I've got loads of stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about team building because you've built a team. We're going to get onto that in a bit. I'd love to know more about your pricing journey. So we'll talk about pricing. What else would I like to talk about? I'd like to talk about at the end, perhaps a bit about your thoughts around business advisory, your thoughts on where the profession's going, around what your thoughts on AI and stuff like that. But let's start with kind of the headline. The headline is that you've grown incredibly fast from less than 4 years. Your cumulative revenue in 4 years has been 1.2 million. So let's talk about growth. And you've kind of touched on a couple of things you got into early days, which I know that you've got a very successful Facebook group. You also have got into video. So talk a bit about what are the things that talk about your growth and the things that you would say have worked the best in terms of winning more clients, winning business, growing your firm. Let's talk about marketing to start with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of whatever I've lent myself to and whatever I've put effort in, I guess the main takeaway is consistency. And whether it's me, doing videos or posting in my Facebook group or just posting on social media in general, I've always tried to be relatively consistent. Yeah, on average, I'll post 3 or 4 times a week across my social media platforms. And there's always content in my head that I think I could talk about. So it might be content about the team, it might be something to do with a recent client meeting, it might be a case study that I can talk about, it might be doing an interview with Mark Wickersham that I can talk about. There's so many different bits and pieces from a business point of view that um, I think would make good content, from my opinion. And again, kind of going back to locally, no accountants locally to me do really anything on social media at all. So there's no kind of personal brand there. Their websites are relatively faceless. So I kind of thought initially a good way to stand out would be kind of going down that video route, but to be consistent as well. But I'm also quite keen on delivering what I would call sort of personal content as well to my audience, if we want to call it that. So whether it's me walking the dog or showing off some of my hobbies. I think it's quite an infamous thing that I like Lego and heavy metal, and that kind of it's a nice icebreaker for people that are trying to get to know me, whether it's as a client or maybe a peer that we could do some kind of work together with. So yeah, I think the kind of the main takeaway across all the platforms, all the different bits of marketing that I've done is just to be consistent, really.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big takeaway for people. It's that consistency within marketing is so important, and you do that exceptionally well. And I also love the point you just made about you are also bringing your personality across in everything that you do. Not a stuffy accountant in a shirt and a tie and a suit, but somebody who doesn't have. I've never seen you wear a suit, Neil. I guess you perhaps haven't got a suit. I don't know, but your personality comes across, and as we often talk about in the Value Pricing Academy, that people buy from people buy from people. People buy from people they like, and it's about getting our personalities across. You mentioned something that triggered a question in my mind, Neil. I know video is a big thing, and consistency with marketing and content and stuff. You actually reached out to me just a few weeks back to say you would like me to interview you for a live stream, even though we've done many interviews before. So why? Why do you want to appear on a live stream and be interviewed? I'm just intrigued because I'm sure there's a learning point for everybody here.
Um, I I don't know really. I think when I did my first social media video, it was a little bit nerve wracking, and even though I was only talking into a screen, but then once I did one, I kind of wanted to do another, and then once I did another, I kind of kept going. And people that are watching this may or may not know that I do 30-day video challenges as well. So a couple of times a year, I'll go on video for 30 days in a row as a bit of a segment piece. So kind of the more I did that, the more I enjoyed it, and cynically from a marketing point of view, the more business I was getting off the back of it, with more people engaging with my content as well. And yeah, like you said, we've done a couple of interview style things before. I now teach on behalf of the Value Pricing Academy as well, which has been something that's been an added string to my bow. And the more sessions I do with that, kind of the more addictive that gets. So I think from my perspective, and I know you want to talk about the Portugal retreat later, but I've learned so much from other people. I'm still learning now, and I guess if I can spend an hour of my time trying to help other people that maybe were in my position 4 years ago, when they didn't have any clients or they didn't know kind of how to grow sort of a marketing presence, if I can help in any way, shape, or form with that, then I'd love to do so, because I think the opportunities in our industry, certainly at the moment with technology and the way that it's so easy to deliver really good content, is just the opportunities are endless, I think.
Awesome. You mentioned the Portugal retreat, so I probably will ask that question soon. But actually, before that, Abby has asked a question. So let's just answer Abby's question. She says, what video content has been most effective on social media? Any tips?
Um, any, I think. I don't really. I don't really kind of monitor in terms of the types of content that I do in terms of what works better. I just think the more times that I do video, the more it seems to resonate with people, and the more leads and inbound inquiries I get. Like I said, that the 30-day video challenges, the month after I finish doing one of these challenges are normally really, really busy for us, with emails and Facebook messages and LinkedIn messages that have, people have seen that content. They might not have seen the whole 30 days, but they can see that I'm in the middle of doing something that's like a segment piece, and it's just piqued their interest. So I think the main thing is to not make it too dry. Not just talk about compliance or governance, or whilst those things are important and it's kind of what we do, like try and sort of splice that with a bit of personality and maybe a bit of humor. My strapline is making finance fun, and it's kind of stuck with me almost by accident. So yeah, just try and sort of balance it between delivering insightful content that will be useful to clients, but deliver it in a really personable way, I would say.
Yeah, and you've definitely got better at video. And I think that is a key thing. Video is so important. You know it's important. I know it's important. The more you do it, the more you get confident, the more you come across relaxed, the more your personality comes across. I mean, I think you've seen, Neil, you saw one of my early YouTube videos, and I was so wooden. It was, hello, I'm Mark Wickersham, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about some tax stuff or something like that. But we all have to start somewhere, and the more we do it, the better we get. And I love the fact that you do these 30-day challenges. They're extraordinary. So a question going to my mind as you've talking about you're talking about the consistency with your marketing, the consistency of posting on Facebook, the consistency of doing videos. How do you find the time for that? How do you schedule that in with all the rest of the stuff with running a busy accounting firm?
I think if I think about kind of the construction of a social media post, I mean, it could take 5 minutes to type it out. And then I tend to cross post mainly on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So kind of the three platforms I use the most. Although the last month or two I've started to use TikTok, which is another thing altogether that I'm trying to learn. But yeah, so maybe 5 to 10 minutes a post and 3 to 4 posts a week. I mean, we're talking like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour tops. And because I said, like, the ideas are kind of, they're always floating around in the brain. I mean, I've got a little notepad where I just jot things down if I'm not in an opportune moment to post. So nothing tends to be scripted, nothing is scheduled, not really. Everything is just posted organically whenever I have the time to do it, and it's it could be whilst I wait for the chicken to cook in the oven or something of an evening. So it's nothing too formal, and I don't think it really takes too much time. I mean, clearly the video side of things can take a bit longer. I do a monthly roundup video after every month in the year. That could take maybe 3 or 4 minutes to film, but I think the key thing to note is that the majority of my content is live, so I'm not then recording it, editing it, and doing all that sort of stuff as well, which will obviously take more time. I have started to experiment a little bit with some other videos and adding captions and doing stuff with a bit of a slicker professional style. But in terms of the majority of my content, most of it is live, so it's shot on the phone, shot on the camera in the office, and then it's done, it's posted, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. And as you know, Neil, we do the same thing. If you look at my YouTube channel, most of our stuff this year has been live streams. It's because you just do it live. You can't edit it. If you make mistakes, if you say the wrong things, that's it. It's live. You can't fix that, which is great because it makes it easy to do content. And when I do videos on my YouTube channel, I just have the same mindset. I haven't edited a YouTube video for years. I just do them as if I'm live because it saves so much time. It means we can be consistent and get stuff out there. Neil, there's a question came in from Lisa, I think, and because you mentioned TikTok earlier. Lisa said, what platform do you find best for getting new clients? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it TikTok? Is it something else?
I think initially for the first maybe year of my journey, Facebook was really powerful, and certainly in the local area. But then I guess as my brand has increased, and I guess I've become a little bit more well known, then LinkedIn has been like probably 3 times as powerful. And the seesaw's flipped the other way now. We still get really good traction. I mean, I got a Facebook message today from somebody that potentially wants to do some business, but LinkedIn for us is attracting bigger clients with bigger fees, with more things to do, on the advisory front. So it's more, I wouldn't call it exciting work, but it's kind of bigger ticket work that we can do now that's come through LinkedIn. I post on Instagram all the time, get very little from Instagram. TikTok is relatively quite new for me. So yeah, I'd say LinkedIn over Facebook at the moment, but certainly at the beginning, Facebook was absolutely critical.
Okay, interesting. Personally, I prefer Facebook, but LinkedIn probably is second. If you could give just one tip then, one tip for how you use LinkedIn to get more clients.
Um, oh, crikey. One tip, consistency. I think I've got just over 5,000 followers now, and the more I post and the more I share content, the more follower requests I get. And I know if I'm on holiday and I don't post for a couple of weeks, that dips. So um, consistency in terms of what you're posting, but make sure you engage with other people's posts as well, because then their network will see that you've commented, and chances are they may get in touch as well. So be engaged, not just delivering the content, but also interspersing with other people's content too.